What up, Whisper Nation? What's going on? It's your boys. We're back for another Mock Draft Monday. It's just Austin Sear here and Johnny Game Time Hicks. We're going to be doing another mock draft, 10-team this time, half PPR. Austin's finishing up saving the world over there. So we are going to fill up this last spot. We have one more spot here while he wraps up his stuff, and then we'll get this going. We apologize for the late jump here, but we will get on this as ASAP. We just want to try to fill that 108 spot. Whisper Nation, I hope you guys are doing. What's going on? Let me know how. Let me know in the chat how our stream's doing. If you guys can hear us, if you can't hear us, let us know. I don't know if they can hear us or not. So as soon as we get this 108 spot, we tweeted out the link. I can actually, let's see. I do not have it right here. So let me copy this. Let me go over to, and we can go ahead and get that last spot filled. I'll drop the link in the comments here just so we can fill this up. If you want to join with us. Here we go. All right, I have dropped the link to this. Awesome. You guys can hear us. Sweet. And the stream is good. What up, Brandon? What up, Jacob? Sabras, what's up? I don't think I've seen you in this chat room before. Welcome in. Welcome to Whisper Nation. Oh, appreciate you, Eric. Hey, I'm really excited. Oh, Austin might be ready to go. Hold on, I recently updated my RAM, so we're hoping that works and my computer no longer has the streaming issues and the crashing. That's what the hope is. So we'll cross our fingers for a wonderful stream here and a great mock draft here. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty. The football season's right around the corner, and mock drafts are no longer going to be happening because it's going to be actual drafts. So we want to get you the last second up-to-the-date information and information on where guys are going. So that's why we like to mock draft. Plus, we like the extra practice. We have a couple of drafts coming up this weekend. Austin, our Toltem draft is this weekend. So
League of Record, baby.
Yeah, so I'm excited for that. So I'm still mocking, dude. I'm still mocking a lot.
So, are we still mocking around? We're gonna be mocking around the whatever tree comes in October, November, December. This train never stops. It's a disease.
Never stops.
It's sick. It's like we just can't help ourselves. And you know what? I'm not interested in helping myself either.
I was asked the other day. By our good friend Michael Begley. Shout out to him. He's part of Whisper Nation, and he was like, "How many mock drafts have you done? Do you think like this year?"
Not enough.
And yeah, I said, "Oh, well, I'm sure I did. I would guess over 100." And one of the league mates in there, I won't name him because I don't want to shame him, but he was like, "Well, that is 100 more than I've done this year." So don't be.
I was thinking about a couple of years back when I had this really wild thinking to myself that I was going to mess myself up if I did too many mock drafts because I'd get lulled into thinking that I was going to have certain outcomes happen. Yeah, and it just isn't. But if you do like 2 mocks, you're not going to put yourself in a good position. But if you do a couple hundred and you really try on all of the different opportunities, that's when you start to break through. I mean, I can even tell for myself, like a week or 2 ago, I was talking to Big Travie, and he was shaking up my thinking a little bit in our League of Record, coming around to it and encouraging me. I'm probably drafted at the 1 spot in our League of Record. And he really got me into the idea of.
Is that breaking news? Is that breaking news right now? Can we put that on official?
Number 1 spot?
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe. I'm the number 2 selector. So in our League of Record, we don't do draft order based on the positions that you fall in. So it's, we always do something fun and creative usually what we do is our fallback is a March Madness bracket. So back in March, what we'll do is everybody in the league goes on one of these websites and puts all their picks in. And then based on how well you finish on your picks for March Madness, it gives you points. And whoever has the most points at the end of the tournament gets to have the first selection. It's not the first spot. It's they get to choose their spot first. So maybe they want to go at 1, maybe they want to go at 6, 12, somewhere in between. I'm the number 2. Our number 1 in Matt Poffin has said he's going 3, which is where I wanted to go most because it's either Saquon, CMC, or Zeke. And feeling good about whichever one of those 3, and then an earlier spot on that back turn. But I like the 1. I'm in that spot. But Big Travie got me turned on to getting one of those elite tight ends if they're still available. And it cracked my thinking open. And those mocks now have just been like, wow, these really opened it up when it went that way. So keep mocking. If you find yourself getting stuck, think of a way to break it out. Maybe you're not going with a quarterback. Maybe you're not picking up a tight end. Maybe you're really just in a rut. And that's the time to think about alternative selections.
It's going to feel uncomfortable, but you got to go in funky ways to sometimes find what you like. And so you can't just do the same thing over and over again. That's when it gets boring and redundant because it's like, well, you're getting the same guys over and over again. That doesn't help.
Exactly.
Switch it up. Get wild. All right, Austin, you want to let's just start. No one seems to want to jump into that 8 spot, so we'll just start this up here. And we got Easy Daddy up here first.
Draft has begun. Thanks for everybody for hanging with us. Thanks for everybody in Sleeper Nation here with us in the bot. Easy Daddy, Jay Blizzy, Death by Rona, Jacob Bley, number 1 fan, T. Garrett, FF, Brandon Stan 26, and Reed Tyler. So good to be drafting with you all, man. This is the best part of my day, and I'm really excited for it.
Hey, we got a lot to talk about, a lot of news, and Austin. Let's just address the elephant in the room because there's going to be a lot of people in Whisper Nation that's going to bring it up in the chat room. We already know.
Sure.
And it just so happens that Big Travie, he wasn't feeling too well tonight. We hope he gets better. Or shout out to him. Hopefully it'll be good by our next show. But you and I have been very big supporters on this show of Leonard Fournette. We've gotten in a lot of conversation battles with a variety of guests on the show about Leonard Fournette, and it's pretty much been me and you versus the world, pretty much. And Philly Chelsea is up there too. She seems to like
a couple of leagues too.
Yeah,
but she's a supporter of Mr. Fournette. That's right. Yeah. That's right.
So people are already trying to make their rounds on social media. And claiming because now Leonard Fournette was waived. Newsflash, if no one knew, Leonard Fournette was waived this morning by the Jacksonville Jaguars, which absolutely blows my mind. And so you have everyone and their mother coming out who was against Leonard Fournette saying, "Oh, I told you so. I told you so. You should have never drafted him." When we don't know what the Christmas present is going to unveil tomorrow morning because we don't know where he's going to go. So all those people that are pounding their chest today might be regretting that and reeling that back in tomorrow. Let's say if Leonard Fournette lands in, I don't know, Tampa Bay, where that offensive line is really good, that whole offense is going to be good, and that is a key piece that could just be...
You keep talking about Tampa Bay. Why Tampa Bay?
It's not the only reason I say Tampa Bay is because I think that is the perfect fit for Bruce Arians' offense. It's a bruiser. He can catch out of the backfield. I think that their confidence in Rojo is a little shaky. And so if you can get a free crack at Leonard Fournette and your offense on a year where it's like all or nothing, then I just think that would just be, and I just think if he goes there, you're going to start seeing Leonard Fournette go in the second, maybe creep up to the first because there is so much potential there.
I think there's a lot of good opportunities with it. Tampa Bay, definitely not a bad one. The ones that I think make the most sense, though, is New England. I think Chicago makes a ton of sense.
They would have to get there's no talent. Waivers.
There's no talent, maybe. Yeah, and the reports out of Jacksonville are that there was no trade value available. I find that hard to believe. I don't
Yeah.
believe that. I think that's a disgruntled franchise who's trying to smear a guy they just never got along with.
Yeah.
And that's what I think you see coming out of Jacksonville and the language there. But there's a lot of teams I think that would make a lot of sense. You and I talked a little bit about this earlier. If he does make it to New England, he would be hands down the most talented back that they have over there. He's healthy right now. He's certainly more talented than Rex Burkhead or Sony Michel, what we've seen out of him in the last couple of years. And Damian Harris is a little bit of a mystery box, but nobody is overtly excited about that man's talent or what he brings to the table from a pedigree perspective. Certainly uncomparable to Leonard Fournette. So I think over there he could do a lot of damage. And all of a sudden you take a team that was looking depleted in the New England Patriots and you have N'Keal Harry, Cam Newton, and Leonard Fournette running the show. That's a pretty exciting Madden team if I've seen one right there. So I think that's exciting one. Obviously in Chicago, filling in for David Montgomery, and that would be a fine fit there. Looking for an early down back that they just lost to a groin issue for a couple of weeks. And
Yeah.
then you and I, the one we brought up as well was with Seattle. I haven't really seen anyone talking about that one, but
Yeah.
there's so much injury
I
going
just
on in Seattle. With Chris Carson, he's great, but imagine if Chris Carson didn't have to put out 250 plus touches.
yeah.
Imagine if Chris Carson could only touch the ball like 150 times and really give you that really good push. And I just think that's
And
a
if
good.
there's a team that would do that, or even if there's a team that would give two guys 200 touches in that backfield, it would be Seattle. I love that way of thinking. It's just as a fantasy owner, and I'm legit going off of like I'm stepping away. I'm taking off the analyst hat here, and I'm just a straight up fan right now saying this. I really hope he doesn't go to any of those places because I don't want a muddied backfield. Even Tampa Bay, you have Ronald Jones, which there seems to be good stuff there. So, I just think that's really tantalizing if he goes there. But realistically, I want to also touch on the fact that if the Bears don't grab him, then that gives you a lot of confidence in David Montgomery and their trust in David Montgomery. I think that's something that's being overlooked. Or, even some of these other like on the fringe running back rooms, that have like these weaker running back rooms.
It's definitely going to be exciting to see where he pops up, but I think we don't know. And
Yeah, we don't.
Leonard Fournette's value could increase. It could drastically decrease from this. We're just going to have to wait and see. I want to hear some of the stats. You'd shared a lot of really great stats about how much pressure Leonard Fournette had faced last year in terms of stacked boxes. They had, on average, 7 defenders coming after him last season. Oh, yeah, and he was on one of the worst lines in the NFL. And he still managed to put up pretty darn good fantasy numbers. And so when people knock the talent of Leonard Fournette, I say what he did, he had overcome quite a bit. And he is still that pedigree player who was taken in the top 5. And when we've seen flashes of what he's capable of, I'm still very excited about Leonard Fournette. His situation is just going to be what dictates how valuable he ends up being. But we have something we're not actually talking about, and anybody who's got a draft in the next couple of days has a huge advantage right now.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine picking up Reichel Armstead.
Yeah.
Because Armstead is subterranean ADP right now. He's not anywhere close to relevancy in terms of where he's going to pop up on the digital rosters when you're making your selections. And there's not going to be enough time for this to correct itself.
Right.
So, I mean, in my opinion, Reichel Armstead is, I don't know how you take a single Washington team running back over Reichel Armstead. I don't know how you take, there's a lot of situations there where Reichel Armstead is going to be the dude now. Like, this guy honestly is probably like a 4th, 5th, 6th round guy. Like, he should be right there. And I'm thinking like with the Cam Akers of the world, the Ronald Joneses of the world, kind of people in like kind of confusing backfields, because this backfield's not confusing for him anymore. Like, it's Chris Thompson getting the passing down work, and it's going to be Reichel Armstead with the early down work. And a guaranteed, yeah, it's still not a great situation over there in Jacksonville, but we're talking about a volume play that, at least in terms of ADP, he's not even on the radar. So keep that one in mind, because Armstead just became a gem. And if your draft is coming up, he's not going to be on the top page of any of this. So
yeah, that's a really great point. I love that you brought that up because there is even from setting to setting, right? Like we mock on Sleeper, But our league of record right now is currently on NFL. And so when
Yes.
you go over to NFL right now, and I've done a couple mocks on there, and their ADP is completely different than sleepers. So it's like the guys that I thought I was going to be able to get in a little bit later rounds are now in a different round, which, I'm not going to be able, it's a give or take. So also know your platform. So mock on different types of platforms as well. That's what we like to do, because then you can really take advantage of some ADPs like that. That's of course not an ADP across the board because of the adjusting that a lot of people don't know about yet. But I agree. I think when you look at Jay Gruden and his offenses throughout the years, and Chris Thompson is going to be heavily involved in this offense as the third down guy. He's always liked him. But when you look at what Jay Gruden has done with his other running backs during that time, they get around 170 to 200 touches. That is their first 1 and 2 down running back, and then they bring in Chris Thompson. And so you're looking at Rockwell right now getting the first crack at that, and he's going to, garner about 200 touches. So if you're going to look at that and where guys are going, that's about the 4th, 5th round. That's about where he should be going. So if you're in your draft, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I'm just so we talking about Jacksonville, and I'm looking at it's the Jacksonville Jaguars who maybe just let their most talented player go, and Jay Gruden is the offensive coordinator, and his big move is bringing Chris Thompson over there. This is just like the grossest situation I can think of. You got cokehead Jay Gruden who can't put an offense together. He picks different quarterbacks. He's got a really weird vibe. He was trying to date all these younger women in the Jaguars organization, and might have a drug problem, and there's all this stuff going on. And then he comes in, and I just think the Jacksonville Jaguars are in for a lot of hurting coming up this season. And I love the vibe Gardner Minshew puts out.
Oh, he's so great.
But if the vibe that he's talking all about is chugging beer, I love it. It's fun. But if we're trying to build a constructive organization and our number one piece is about Party Boy USA, I hope you can get the Gronk situation going. I just don't know if Gardner Minshew has that much talent behind him to pull it all off.
Yeah, we'll see. It'll
More
be
power to
interesting.
him.
Yeah.
Great story. Love the vibe.
If you guys are new, we have a bunch of people right now in watching our stream. We'll go over picks in just a second. We'll catch up on those. Austin, I got lost in that big tangent, rightfully so, of Leonard Fournette. But if you're new to our channel, please consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting that bell, so you get notified whenever we drop new content, which is pretty much daily, multi-times a day. I went live this morning just because the news was that wild, so I decided to do that. So you never know when that'll happen, but we love doing a lot of things related to fantasy football. So if you do too, please hit that subscribe, hit that bell.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers here, and we might be able to do it before the start of the season.
That's a hope.
I don't know. We'd have to be going faster than we are, but every day it's been a few. So if you are following along and you're digging what you're hearing, please consider hitting that subscribe button, hit the thumb, hit the bell, hit all of the little things that YouTube gives you. It gives us so much joy to continue doing this and building this community, and that's really what this is all about, is just connecting with you all out there and talking about this game based on a game that we love in fantasy football so damn much. With that, I'm on the clock, man. I got to make my pick here.
Yeah, you're gonna do it. You're gonna pull it.
Yeah, well, I've been going back and forth. I'm not gonna take Fournette here, but I'm gonna go ahead and no. I've been digging this wide receiver, running back, 1-2-1-2, kind of back and forth, and I am just gonna keep sticking with that as of now. We talk a lot about value-based drafting, and you got to stay like water, be like water in your drafts. Big Travie helped me with something, talking the aforementioned bit about selecting a top tight end. Mm-hmm. It was take that top tight end up there, or take a top quarterback if the tight ends get swooped up early. One of either one of those top 2 quarterbacks or one of those top 2 tight ends is going to be available. And then the pattern was just kind of go back and forth between running back, wide receiver, running back, wide receiver, running back, wide receiver, running back. And I'm sharing this because it gave a little bit of loose structure for me. Mm-hmm. And I think the problem that most of us fall into when we go through a real draft and at the end of it we're not as happy as we totally would have been is because we start trying to build a completed roster as soon as we can. It's like,
well, that was the other issue I have with the NFL.com doing the mock drafts over there, because everyone over there just wants to fill their team in the first 10 picks. That's what they do. They'll go, they'll get their 2 running backs, they'll get their 3 wide receivers, they'll get their defense and kicker, and it's like through 10, and it's like, I can't gauge where actual ADP is going to be on this because this isn't even remotely close.
And I understand that way of thinking, right? It's like, we got a roster to fill. Might as well fill my roster with the best people available. But that's not how you win a fantasy football championship. Yeah. It's about acquiring value. And the way I look at value is the difference between ADP and actual production. And you want to find as much actual production that's disproportionate to their ADP in the positive direction, right? So you get someone who's super late, low ADP, and they end up being really productive for their squad. And if you're just trying to fill out a roster or go with a template, you're not going to be able to maximize that value piece in drafting. And that's what drafting is all about.
Yeah.
One of the ways that I draft with it is Jacob Bley talked last week's mock about how, Austin didn't take 3 running backs to start it off. And if you look at my drafts, I do take a lot of running backs heavily in non-full PPR ones. And the reason behind that is something I picked up a couple of years back, and that this is a game of attrition. And attrition, I had to go look up that word. Attrition is when it's going to wear itself down throughout the course of the year. Your guys are going to get hurt. Like, it's just going to happen. You're going to have multiple people on your team miss multiple weeks. So you should prepare for that. And so the way I try to prepare for that is by having a stable of running backs behind me. I know that this isn't going to give me the best starting roster on day one, but more times than not, I have a top roster at the end of the year. And I'm able to withstand those blows better when a guy tears his ACL, has a high ankle sprain, gets the Rona this year, whatever it might be. So, I try to build it out in a way where you can have that, but then what ends up happening sometimes is you get lost in either a certain template or trying to fill your roster or whatever it might be, and you just don't actually end up having as well drafted a team as you could. So this is a long drawn out bit to say, what you can do with a little bit of structure, like I'm doing just running back, wide receiver, and I just contradicted myself here. But with that, it when you work your way down, you just end up seeing people who are now available who you might not have been looking for. For instance, if you fill up on all your running backs early, and then you're like, I got to hit the wide receiver train, and then you get down a little bit lower and you get a guy who might have fallen, who has some real upside, like a Zach Moss.
Yeah.
Like a Zach Moss, who's like, damn, like how the hell did he fall so far? Somebody like that who is legitimately exciting, but you're now not really in a position to pick it up because you've made yourself not flexible anymore. You just went with something so heavy. So keep your structure in a way where you can stay flexible throughout the draft. Obviously cover your bases, but be able to stay flexible in case someone does fall and you can pick them up and it doesn't bloat your roster positions in one way or the other.
Yeah, and to piggyback on that was there was a couple of years ago where I had done that where like I just loaded up on all these running backs, right? I was like, I'm taking all these dart throws, and I ended up like I walked away with the draft with like 7 running backs. It was like something absurd, and what ended up happening was like Alvin Kamara was on the waiver wire still, and I knew about Alvin Kamara, and that's where like the whole funny story with me and Travis comes up, where I had so many running backs, I didn't want to drop one of them in case one of those was the actual hot hand dart throw, So I ended up telling him to go pick up Alvin Kamara, which ended up being way better than all my guys combined. So that's another reason why, it's like it seems juicy sometimes. That's why you got to know your league as well. Know what you can kind of get as far as value. But I do like that, just being like water, seeing what you can get and all that. But I think Austin, we need to catch people up on these picks here. So while you're thinking about where you're going here, I'm gonna run down
really quick before you do that. I want to legitimately ask, because I find myself in this question a lot before you jump into touching on Whisper Nation's picks here. Raheem Mostert, Ronald Jones, or Cam Akers?
I would go Ronald Jones there until the news breaks tomorrow. That might change, but I would go Ronald Jones. He has the highest upside, I think. Cam Akers would come second, and then Mostert third for me. Not that
Mostert's locked into an RBBC, as where
yeah,
Jones could end up being actually like the main dog.
like
Same thing for Cam Akers, but we like the Ronald Jones ceiling of an Arian system with Tom Brady throwing the ball. So yeah, thanks for helping me walk through that one.
yeah, no problem.
All right, you want to hit the rest of the picks here?
Not anymore. I'm about to be up. Do you want to run down
Oh
them real
shit!
quick?
Yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna
Do
give a
your
quick
2 minute
rundown now.
2 minute drill rundown warm up right here.
Okay, gonna go ahead and get a little preview of the 2 minute
Yeah.
drill. Starting off in the first pick, we got Christian McCaffrey, then Saquon Barkley, Ezekiel Elliott, Dalvin Cook, Henry, Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Josh Jacobs, and Devontae Adams to round out the first round. Started the second round, we have Patrick Mahomes, Joe Mixon, Julio Jones, Miles Sanders, Tyreek Hill, DeAndre Hopkins, Kenyon Drake, Nick Chubb, Austin Eckler, Chris Godwin's going to close at the second. The start of the third begins with George Kittle, Travis Kelce, Lamar Jackson, James Conner, Chris Carson, Aaron Jones, Kenny Golladay, David Johnson, Allen Robinson the second. Mike Evans to close out the third. We're going to begin the fourth with Le'Veon Bell, Todd Gurley the second, Melvin Gordon the third, Jonathan Taylor, Calvin Ridley, Odell Beckham, Mark Andrews, Adam Thielen, DJ Moore, Mark Ingram's the second. A lot of guys have Roman numerals following their name. Beginning of the fifth starts with A.J. Brown, Robert Woods, Tyler Lockett, Cooper Kupp, Juju Smith-Schuster, Leonard Fournette. Hope you find a team, buddy. Amari Cooper, David Montgomery, DJ Shark, Devin Singletary closes out the fifth round. In the sixth round begins with Terry McLaurin, DK Metcalf, T.Y. Hilton, Zach Ertz, Kareem Hunt, Ronald Jones the second, and Cortland Sutton is off the board. I think I got that all done in one pick.
That was really you would have smashed the 2 minute drill in that. That was like too fast. That was awesome. But
thank you.
yeah. Well, heck yeah. Way to go. Looks like you don't even need any warm up for the regular season. You're ready to go for that 2 minute drill.
Last season was the warm up, baby. Last season was the warm up, and now I'm just ready to go all the time. My tongue's not going to fall off this year.
All right. So are there you just rattled that off really quickly. Were there any, crazy surprising picks that caught your eye that
One
you
thing
were
that caught my eye was how many freaking Roman numerals dudes have after their names these days.
Well, now
like, my goodness.
It's a popular thing now if you're a junior to go by with number 2.
Second?
Yeah. So maybe I should just switch mine now to Johnny Game Time 2. Like, that's what I should start going by, I guess.
I'm gonna be Austin Sear the first.
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna start
with that's when you know it's gone. It's like it's gone off the rails. You just start putting 1 if you're just the senior. You're just like, I want a number 2.
You're gonna see high school football players starting to pull that stuff, man. Like, because we've gotten so many dudes dropping the second. Like, junior's out, and I don't blame it. But the second I think is hilarious, and I'm just waiting now for someone to be the first. And I would not be surprised to see some high school football players rocking a 1 on their back. That would be great. But your question was about the teams. And so I want to go ahead and take us. We're about halfway through right now with this draft. It's a 10-team half-point PPR. And, I'm going to start, let's break it down a little bit in a different light here while you're making your pick. Which teams has the running backs that stand out to me the most? When I take a quick glance at this, man, Death by Rona really went with the running back strategy, and I like how he pulled it off. Dalvin Cook, Kenyon Drake, and James Conner. Those ones work out. You have 1 through 3 down backs, catch passes, playing for decent to very good offenses. Love that running back stack that he has over there. Also really like what the computer ended up doing, actually going super late with CEH, David Johnson, Melvin Gordon, David Montgomery. With Julio Jones, they're taking the second, so that's
really
a pretty.
Nice.
If we're just looking at running backs though, and then outside of those ones, the Alvin Kamara and Miles Sanders, love the upside there. T. Garrett FF was able to swoop up over there. So those are the running back ones that I think stand out the most to me. How about wide receivers for you, Game Time? Who in the wide receiver situation is catching your eye?
Well, I really like what Reed Tyler did there. He's going a little upside down strategy, and we'll see how it ends up panning out for him. But Devontae Adams, Mike Evans, and Terry McLaurin as a 3 combo is pretty nice there. Definitely like that. Brandon Stan has a pretty solid one. I like that combo. You also have Jacob Bley that has a pretty nice combo as well. Michael Thomas, Tyreek Hill, and Calvin Ridley. That actually, I'm a little bit. Ooh, that's a close between Reed Tyler and Jacob Bley on wide receivers on who I like the most. I do like what you've got here with Hopkins, OBJ, and Juju. 3, wide receivers that have been top 10 before, and have down years last year, so they could rebound. I also like this right here with Jay Blizzy, DJ Moore, Robert Woods, and Keenan Allen. I'm coming around more and more on the value of Keenan Allen. I'm really starting to
too.
like it.
Especially with Michael Tom, excuse me, with Big Mike Williams out for a little while, and
Yeah.
he's just missing that time right now with Tyrod Taylor. It was getting going good in the beginning, calling him 80-20 Mike. 50-50 balls aren't 50-50, they're 80-20 when it's Big Mike Williams going up to pull it down, but he's out right now. He's going to be out for a little while, and that's just giving Keenan Allen more time to link up with him, and I'm with you, man. I'm starting to feel it. Like, if Keenan Allen is my 2, I'm fine. If he's my 3, I'm really excited.
So, people in Whisper Nation, if you're following along, you probably just saw a little bit of craziness happen by my last pick. I took Russell Wilson in the 7th when I already have Lamar Jackson, and this is not a 2-quarterback league. This is a single quarterback league.
What are you doing, man?
Yeah, most people would say that.
Yeah.
But what you also, this was and to tie in a point that we were talking about earlier, and kind of thinking outside the box. And I think that in a 10-team league, you need to really set yourself apart. So you need to find advantages. Well, what are some of the advantages that you can naturally have? And then what are some of the advantages you can create? And one advantage that I am finding that you can create is by drafting quarterbacks, because as you see in most leagues, the top 2 quarterbacks go pretty early, and then there's a big gap because a lot of people are waiting on quarterback, which is, the right thing to do. Look at Dak, Russell, and Kyler in the 7th is an absolute steal for teams. And so with me seeing that and seeing that in the 7th round, looking at what I could have gotten, there are some really nice pieces that I could have built some really nice depth with. But knowing that this is a really long season and COVID and all that, now I've got 2 elite quarterbacks that if something were to happen, I have an advantage over almost every team except for Pat Mahomes, pretty much, at the quarterback position. And if I decided to, Russell Wilson and Lamar Jackson are both cooking, then I feel, and I, as experience from a fantasy football player, that I could get a pretty penny for Lamar Jackson or Russell Wilson, and having the double dips as well on each of those guys is really nice. So I just wanted to see it. I wanted to take away, and because I know a lot of Whisper Nation, they've been drafting with us for a long time. They've been waiting on those quarterbacks because they know exactly what we do. They know exactly what to do, but I wasn't going to let it happen. I was like, I got to start taking some of these.
I like that point there, Johnny, and it actually echoes a little bit of what I want to tack on to that, and also with my own selection of a quarterback here in the 7th round. I'm not a big quarterback early kind of guy. I do have a couple that I really like their upside with. All of them are now off the board. Those first 6 are the ones that legit get me excited, that I think can bring something extra to the table. If I'm not getting one of these 6, I'm waiting until super late. And I'm keeping my eyes on Cam Newton because I love that upside. I'm also keeping my eyes on Teddy Bridgewater as a deep sleeper over there. I'm also not hating on Baker Mayfield either, but that's just kind of more of a fun one. Maybe a little bit expensive for that ceiling that he could bring. Might as well just go with Cam or Teddy Bridgewater. But anyways, my point with this one is bringing up a little bit of what we talked about earlier of being like water and not being afraid to open up your game plan to allow for the most high ceiling players to be a part of your roster. I was really looking to add up another running back into my squad. And I looked at it and I said, well, you know what? I've got 3 what should and could be lead backs, every down backs, high ceiling guys in Ronald Jones, Chris Carson, and Derrick Henry. I like that situation. I like my receivers where it was at. And I was looking at the running backs, and I was looking at adding a guy who was going to be solid again. I wasn't looking to just grab a dart throw. And I didn't see anybody who jumped to light. I'm looking at Marlon Mack, who I think is going to be getting more work than people are anticipating, but he's still going to be splitting the work with Jonathan Taylor. I'm looking at Antonio Gibson, who I like the dice roll on, but because I've already got those strong running backs, I didn't need to take that when I've still got not a bad pick, but not exactly what I was looking for. Phillip Lindsay, Zach Moss, Matt Breida, Kerryon Johnson. I all like what they're about, but they're still not going to be those every down guys. So to me, they were all in a significantly lower tier. And the wide receivers weren't as world wrecker as I would want it to be either. So when I looked at those and I saw who at quarterback was available in Kyler Murray, I do have him as one of those next level
Mhm.
ceiling raisers. He can win you a week. That's what I'm talking. Like you're down 35 points going up against somebody, and you've got Kyler Murray coming in. You're like, I still got a good chance
Mhm.
on this one. And I like to have as many dudes on my squad that are going to be able to keep me in it. So if somebody doesn't show up, we got a guy who's got him covered. It's
Yeah.
like, hey man, you might have put up 2 points, but I'm gonna drop 22, so we're gonna put up 11 together, or 12 together when it breaks it all the way down. So to be able to stay like water, have your tiers broken out, and if you find yourself in a stuck position and you're like, man, I'm not excited about any of these running backs and wide receivers, but oh snap, there's a quarterback who's actually fallen down, or maybe it's a tight end.
Mhm.
Those are the times I'm going to be comfortable taking a quarterback or a tight end in those middle rounds, is if there's no exciting wide receivers or running backs available and there's a legit ceiling raiser in tight end or quarterback there. Like if Zach Ertz fell down or Darren Waller fell down or Evan Ingram fell down, maybe Hunter Henry, but those are the ones I'm looking at the most and being like, these guys could actually be the main vein on their team and be a legit option at an undervalued position there.
Yep. All right, you have I thought your time was gonna run out. I got a little nervous here. We'll run down the list since you left off of picks here. Where did you leave off? I forgot
I
the.
left off on Cortland Sutton right after Cortland Brown. You were taking Marquise Brown there in the sixth. I'm gonna use my charger here.
All right, so
Later.
took Cortland Sutton went right after that. Then Ronald Jones, Kareem Hunt, Zach Ertz, T.Y. Hilton, DK Metcalf, then Terry McLaurin to close out the sixth round. Then to start the seventh, we had Michael Gallup, Will Fuller, Stephon Diggs, Jarvis Landry, then Darren Waller. Then we had Kyler. Oh, wait, what am I doing? I am just going. This is. Austin, you left for 2 seconds and I went off the rails. Like I was completely saying these all backwards. So I went the opposite way. So Keenan Allen after Marquise Brown, then Raheem Mostert, then Dak Prescott, Cam Akers, Russell Wilson. I took at 7:03. Then DeAndre Swift at 7:04. Kyler Murray at 7:05. Then Darren Waller, Jarvis Landry, Stephon Diggs, then Will Fuller, then Michael Gallup at the end of the seventh, not the beginning of the seventh. Then to start the eighth round, we had Evan Ingram, J.K. Dobbins comes off the board. Interesting guy to talk about here in a second. Devontae Parker, then A.J. Green, Tyler Boyd. Austin took Rob Gronkowski in the eighth, then Deshaun Watson. I took Marlon Mack, James White, Antonio Gibson at the end of the eighth. And then in the start of the ninth, we have Darius Geis, Deebo Samuel, Deontay Johnson, then Brandon Cooks. Austin took Zach Moss. And then we have Marvin Jones, Philip Lindsay, Tom Brady, and Matt Ryan. Could there be a little. Oh, wait, nope. There will not be a quarterback run here. So, Austin, there have been a lot of ups and downs with the J.K. Dobbins. There are people that are saying, but what about Gus Edwards and don't forget Mark Ingram
Yeah.
and all of this, and then you also have the idea that there is a potential path for J.K. Dobbins to. We know the talent certainly, but there is a
Yeah.
path as well that J.K. Dobbins could be pretty fantasy relevant this year. Where do you fall on the J.K. Dobbins? Do you think it's worth reaching up a little bit to get a guy like J.K. Dobbins, or, and I'll be truthful with you. I'm kind of setting you up with a little question here, but what I've often found is that people tend to get a little bit overexcited with some of these handcuffs, and they draft them a little too early, and they don't end up panning out because the players don't get injured like we hoped or that we thought, and so it just ends up becoming a waste of pick. So, what are you thinking about J.K. Dobbins? Would you be willing to reach up? How you feeling?
I'm only taking J.K. Dobbins if I'm taking a lot of other guys like him. We did a mock draft earlier today with one of our league mates, Matt Potvin, and he built his squad to be pretty wide receiver heavy. He drafted a running back in the first, but then a host of wide receivers, like 3 wide receivers in rounds 2 through 4. afterwards, and this was a run-heavy draft, and so he didn't have a ton of running backs available then, in rounds like 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and all the way down. But he took what I thought was a really good selection of not just dart throws, but guys that are going to have some value regardless. And if anything happens to the running back ahead of them, then they become super studs.
Yeah.
J.K. Dobbins falls in that camp for me. Zach Moss falls in that camp for me. A.J. Dillon is right there. If you go ahead and can stack up like 3 or 4 of these guys, you're going to end up dropping most of them. But I think with that many lotto tickets that you purchase, it's a fine strategy in trying to find somebody with that top 2 round value. So am I just going to take one lotto ticket on J.K. Dobbins? No, I'm not. Gus Edwards averages like 5 yards a carry. They still had Justice Hill with high draft capital last year. Mark Ingram is the one, and I'm not totally sure who the guaranteed handcuff behind him is. J.K. Dobbins definitely is the leading candidate for that. But with so many other productive running backs behind, I don't really need to mess around too much with a guy who's, if he even did take over the show, he's probably still splitting work with Justice Hill and Gus Edwards. So I like what J.K. Dobbins brings to the table from a football perspective. That situation, though, there's a lot of good running backs over there, and I would rather take somebody who's got less competition for touches or has a more integral part in the offense, because it's never going to be J.K. Dobbins' team. Like, at least not this season. At least not this season. He's going to need to be the one, and Mark Ingram has that role locked down.
I'm going to go Tyreek here.
Tariq
Cohen. Well said. I would second that. I just think I think people just get overly excited or want things to happen. And that was actually something that I was a little bit surprised about as well, because looking at past draft data, it's like all these guys that we come in every year, and I understand you want the highest ceiling, or you want to try to create the highest ceiling or shoot for the stars. But at some point, it becomes kind of reckless when doing so if you are consistently trying to just go with that strategy.
Like J.K. Dobbins is a shooting for the ceiling strategy. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah, I just think that there's a very big chance that at the end of the year, you see J.K. Dobbins, he has like 120 touches, and maybe he gets 5 yards per carry. But then, it's like, okay, that's 600 yards, and that's, like not a lot of fantasy points. So it's like,
I don't see him as having a high ceiling at all. I don't think J.K. Dobbins. I think if you're expecting J.K. Dobbins to have a high ceiling, you're looking at talent and talent alone, and that's a recipe for fantasy failure.
Right.
Because
I think it's both. I think you're seeing his talent, and then you're like, oh, I think Mark Ingram's going to get hurt because he's old. But Mark Ingram generally has been pretty solid when he's on the field. It doesn't miss many games. So, yeah.
And I'd argue that it's actually the opposite. If you get a guy who's got a long history of toughness, hanging in there, resisting injury, or playing through it, that stuff doesn't change when they get older. Adrian Peterson is the best example of that. Frank Gore as well. Like, when you have a way about the way you play. Larry Fitzgerald is another guy. Like, these guys deal with nicks and dings and problems all the time. They're not comfortable throughout the football season, but they've just got their mind and their bodies in a rhythm where they get out there and they show up.
Yeah.
And that makes it happen. So while we say you can never count on injuries and you don't do that, I do think that there is some credit we can give players who have repeatedly, time and time again, shown how they battle through nicks and dings and they show up on the field.
Yeah.
I mean, like, DeAndre Hopkins is the number one guy like that for me. DeAndre Hopkins, like, never misses any time. He always produces. It doesn't matter who's throwing the ball. Like, he comes out there and puts in work. He's played for good Houston teams. He's played for bad Houston teams, and he puts in the work. And, just something that you're not going to be able to say about some other wide receivers. So I do totally, you don't count on injuries, but there's some guys who you can count on their resilience, I would say.
Yeah.
So Mark Ingram I'm not worried about Mark Ingram at all.
So I just want to take a second to give a shout out to everyone that is watching and tuning in right now. We appreciate all of you. There are 20 people currently right now. We only have 9 likes, so if you guys could do us a big favor, jam that thumbs up. Give us a nice blue thumbs up. Super satisfying. And what's even more satisfying is hitting that subscribe button and hitting that bell to get notified whenever we drop new content. If you aren't already subscribed to our channel, the season is coming up, Austin, and
Yeah.
you never know what's going to happen. So
No, you don't. Talking about, I wanted to hit it up with one of those, you're asking folks to like and subscribe and find these videos. You shared some data on the videos you and Travi had put together earlier in this off season, and those ones are coming back. People are looking those ones up as their drafts are coming close. Tell me why Saquon Barkley should be the #1 pick, or what's the deal with Cam Akers and Darrell Henderson. And these videos have been coming up, so be sure to like and subscribe to that. There's a lot of new content that comes out every day, but there's also libraried content that's going to still help you, that's still available, that's still extremely relevant, and you will do yourself and your fantasy team a little bit of a service if you go ahead and subscribe and check out those past videos, and then stay tuned for the new ones coming up. We're going to be doing it all season plus.
All right, so the Cat's Pajamas said at game time, rank these RBs: James Conner, Chris Carson, Todd Gurley, and David Johnson. I would go Chris Carson, I would go James Conner, then I would go David Johnson, and then I would go Todd Gurley. That's how I'd rank those. Austin, are you any different?
I'm no different, but I will give David Johnson an added ceiling bump.
I agree.
David Johnson can be this year's league winner that you're snagging in the 3rd or the 4th if he didn't lose a step. And he doesn't even need to have elite talent, but if he has running back 1 talent, Bill O'Brien's going to try to prove a point this season. He's going to be smashing him. He picked him up because he's known as a pass catching back. We know how valuable catching a pass is as a running back, and this is part of his mantra. You don't have a lot of running backs who are known for also catching the ball, who are also known for early down work. Like, yeah, anybody can learn to catch the ball 15 feet away from your quarterback when they give you a little dump off route, but he was AP's wide receiver of the year a few years back, and he's still a big dude. And when you're looking at players who really fit what he brings to the table, there isn't honestly anybody. And I would say Christian McCaffrey is there, but Christian McCaffrey's best compared to David Johnson's best. David Johnson's a bigger dude.
Yeah.
Like, Christian McCaffrey came in the league sub 200 pounds, and David Johnson did not. Like, this is a big boy who can come and hit it hard, who cuts, who spins, who moves, who catches. He looked like he lost a step. Bill O'Brien doesn't think so. Yeah. Nobody really thinks Bill O'Brien's making good moves, so say what you will about that. But I'm just going to say, dude is on the right side of 30. Dude got a lot of time off the last couple of years because of the injuries. The team that he's playing for wants him to be there, which we just saw in Leonard Fournette is a real thing. Yeah. Like, they want him to be there. Bill O'Brien might be making a mistake by how many times he gives David Johnson the rock, but it's his mistake is going to be your benefit. Yeah. So I'm trying to get David Johnson out of my mind, like in the Chris Carson, James Conner scenario, but it's really tough because he's right there.
Yeah. Then we also have, so we had in a 12-man Sabras 7488. In a 12-man league, are you cautious of taking Miles Sanders considering his hamstring injury? Austin, I will have you answer this question, and then I'll give my response because I
obviously don't like it, but everybody here is going to be dealing with some kind of nicks and dings and whatnot. And if they can just have Miles Sanders taken care of properly and coming into the season in a couple of weeks, good. You might just get an advantage and be able to swoop him up a little bit later in your drafts. It's not helping his ADP. It's going to be up to you when he falls if you want to go ahead and roll with that. If your draft is right now, it's a tough one. But I'm feeling okay about it. I think that there's no competition behind him. If the Eagles picked up Leonard Fournette tomorrow, then yeah. But until that happens or they grab Devontae Freeman, Miles Sanders is the dude. I'm not concerned about the other guys they have. All of the signs are pointing to Miles Sanders being a smash play this year. And a little soft tissue injury. At this point, I'm not that concerned. I'm not excited, but I'm not worried.
I'll be worried if Leonard Fournette gets signed with the Eagles tomorrow. That's when I will get worried. I wouldn't take him in the first round anymore. If you would have asked me, a couple of weeks ago, I would have said if you're on the back end, 11 or 12, or mostly that 11 spot, and you wanted to take him, then I wouldn't have an issue with it. But now because of this, there is a little bit of caution that he might be eased into this. They might not give him or ramp it up as quickly as we'd hope. They also have the offensive line issues, with injuries there, and now like the contract dispute because Peters wants more money if he's going to move to the left tackle position. So that has me saying, all right, I don't feel comfortable taking him in the first. If someone takes him in the first, then I'm like, okay, I'm willing to say I'm going to miss out on Miles Sanders this year. But if he falls to me in the second, and I'm trying to decide between, him or Austin Eckler, I think I'm still going Miles Sanders over Austin Eckler. Unless it's like a full point well, actually, I think I would still, even in a full point PPR, I think I would still go Miles Sanders over Austin Eckler. Yeah, I would.
Me too.
All right, we got Scott jumping in. What's up, Scott? He joins us every week. 3 top 10 backs, 5 1,000, I think.
I think he's talking about his squad. He's just stoked on his team right now.
And he's already over here.
Yeah, Sanders isn't just in a great spot with that line, with the rolling offense. The way I see it, too, is that team doesn't quite yet have its identity. And to me, it's shaking it up like a run-heavy team. You could be getting a main vein there in Miles Sanders. The ultimate upside with Miles Sanders is that his injury is of zero impact, and the line is outstanding, and they run the ball a lot more, and he's the #1 dude the entire season. And if that happens, he's a top 3 running back.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want it to be known right now. We talked about this earlier, and it happened. And this is why I need to have my cheat sheet in front of me. We talked about it on the top of the show, and it still happened to us, Austin. Rockwell Armstead fell to the 12th round. I should have. How did I not take him over Tariq Cohen? Oh, my goodness. Well done.
Exactly.
Brandon S., way to be on your stuff. Way to listen. Good job, man. That was...
No, that's exactly. This is the perfect example right now because Rockwell Armstead is so far down deep in the ADP. You got to know him because he's not just going to pop up. Even if you scroll down a little bit, he's still not going to be there. And in what world do you take Alexander Madison, Chase Edmonds, Tariq Cohen, Kerryon Johnson, who I took, over Rockwell Armstead? Like, you just don't. It's a starting running back with no real competition for that early down job. We don't know what he's totally about. He could be a really good running back you're getting in double-digit rounds. And he's locked to start the year as that dude. And then even if he doesn't perform that well, it's like there's...
Yeah, I mean, at that point, it's fine. I mean, like I said, I project him to get about 170 to 200 touches in this offense, with the ability to get even more, considering Chris Thompson does not stay healthy. And that's also barring any other trade happening or anything like that. So, well, Austin, we have come to the end of this draft, but it is not over yet. We have not finished this stream. The stream is not over. We do the best part, which is our famous, draft breakdown grades of each team. So, Whisper Nation, if you're watching, we got a lot of people tuning in right now watching us. We appreciate all of you. One, if you could jam that thumbs up button, we'd greatly appreciate it. We only got 13 likes right now. Greatly helps our channel grow. But two, we want to hear what you guys. Let's hear some of your favorite teams right now. Put it in the comments below. Let me know where you guys are going, what you guys think as we go through these and rank them. We want to know what you guys would rank these teams as well. But Austin, let's start with your team, man.
And so I wanted to add to that, not only rank everybody else's team, but what's going to happen first is Johnny and I are going to break down our squad to let you know what we're thinking and why we did what we did. You let us know, Whisper Nation, who did better? Who drafted better in this mock, Johnny or myself? And so we'll break it down, let us know. And then after that, while y'all are evaluating our decisions, we're going to do the same and go ahead and make a bunch of draft grades for the other 8 members in this one. So I'll lead us off. I went at the 5 spot. I took Derrick Henry. It was a close call between him and Alvin Kamara. But I'm just a big Derrick Henry fan. Got him in my dynasty and went Derrick Henry. DeAndre Hopkins, I'm seeing a lot of people fade on him, but to me, he's the last elite wide receiver in that tier. I have zero issues grabbing DeAndre Hopkins, even with a new team. I'm also a Cardinals fan, so it goes down pretty smooth. And even if he has a wide receiver 2 year, I'm still stoked on it. But I think that DeAndre Hopkins is going to absolutely kill it for all the reasons we talked about before. Chris Carson as my number 2 running back. I'm going to round out my wide receivers now with Odell Beckham and Juju Smith-Schuster. Ronald Jones, I got planning to play in my flex spot. Another starting high ceiling running back. Kyler Murray with his legs and arm is going to be my starting quarterback. And I have a double dip scenario there in DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray. Doesn't necessarily get you more points, but it does get you more fun. Count that. Rob Gronkowski, upside play in him. And then went with a runner running backs there for some depth where they could pop off or at least just provide a little extra stability in that department for me. Zach Moss, Kerryon Johnson, and Sony Michel. Aaron Rodgers is going to be my backup QB, and Tyler Higbee is going to be my backup tight end in case Gronk isn't what we're all hoping that he might be. So that's my squad there, and I don't hate it. It's nice drafting in 10 teams sometimes. I'll say that
I
as
know,
well.
right? It's like
Yeah.
you get a little bit more of a stacked team here. Not bad. I like it. I like your running backs there. Very, very nice. I like, of
I
course,
wanted to
big
get
fan.
Rock Lee says Kamara over Henry easily. That's the wrong call. It's not an easily situation on this one. When Derrick Henry is facing the only
Yeah.
guy who faced more men in the box in the top 10 than Leonard Fournette did was Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry faced more dudes in the box all the time, and he's still getting 5 yards per carry. He absolutely smashed last year, and the way he plays and the size of the man leads me to believe he's not going to be limited at all in this next year. And the talks coming out of camp are that he's catching passes. If Derrick Henry can catch some passes this year, he's going to be the number 1 halfback in fantasy. Alvin Kamara is never going to get the volume that some of these other running backs could. He does amazing work catching the ball, but they're just not going to give him 20, 25, 30 touches like Derrick Henry might be getting in some of these weeks. So love Alvin Kamara. He is not a hands down better choice over Derrick Henry, though. I'm sorry.
I also want to say that I understand it's a half-point PPR league, but we also need to realize that Derrick Henry is going to get a lot more passing volume. His receptions have gone up every single year of his career. And guess what? There's no Dion Lewis anymore to take over that pass catching role. They just have the rookie as the backup. So, and they've already talked about they want to get Derrick Henry more involved in the passing game. So that is also, I don't think it's that. I don't know if I'd personally take Derrick Henry over Kamara because I'm a big believer in Kamara bounce back this year.
Sure.
But I don't hate. I'm not gonna sit here and say that that's the wrong decision because there's a very real possibility Derrick Henry does finish higher than AK this year, especially with the contract rolling out. We don't even know if AK is gonna play. All right, getting to my team. That's another story for a different day. Ezekiel Elliott. I took Ezekiel in the first round. No surprise there. Just whatever fell. Nick Chubb. Listen, I know he doesn't get a lot of passing down work, or at least he shouldn't with Kareem Hunt there. But I still love Nick Chubb this year. Even in a half PPR league, he is going to get you monster points. I took Lamar Jackson because I just thought it was a good value there. And so I wanted to see kind of how that would work out. And then I went Adam Thielen in the 4th, which I thought was a pretty solid value. I'm coming around on his value. I don't know if I'd necessarily like it as more than any of these other guys. I think I'd rather have those guys, but I haven't been drafting Adam Thielen a lot, so I want to see what he would look like on my team. And it actually wasn't that bad. I took Tyler Lockett in the 5th, Marquise Brown in the 6th, 2 high upside guys. Russell Wilson in the 7th. Again, I was trying to create a positional advantage for myself. Thinking about into the season, and then I took Marlon Mack, Deontay Johnson, and then Tyreek Cohen, Chase Edmonds, T.J. Hawkinson, and or as I like to say, T.J. Hawkinson, and Sterling Shepard as my 13th rounder. So I like Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, no, I do too. I love, and the Sterling Shepard pick there super late. That's another little nugget I want to throw out there.
Yeah.
Don't take Darius Slayton unless don't take Darius Slayton unless Sterling Shepard's already off the board, which isn't gonna happen in this point in drafts. So I'm just gonna say, and I'm someone who's taken Darius Slayton in a ton of mocks. I'm not taking Darius Slayton at all. My opinions change with new information. Yours should too. And the latest information coming out of the New York Football Giants camp is that Sterling Shepard is the one, and he looks awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Darius Slayton rose up last year as there was a ton of injuries, but Sterling Shepard, he's going to be that guy. And I think Evan Ingram's actually a really nice pick there too. So if somebody takes Darius Slayton in your league and Shepard's still available, smile to yourself quietly, wait a round or two, and pick up Shepard.
Like it. All right, let's jump into these team breakdown grades here. We'll start with Easy Daddy. You want me to start this one off, Austin? Or do you want
Get
to
it up,
start?
man.
All right.
Number one.
Number
Better
one overall pick here, Easy Daddy. Takes Christian McCaffrey, no surprise there with the first pick, then gets Chris Godwin in the second, takes George Kittle in the third, Mark Ingram in the fourth, A.J. Brown in the fifth, Raheem Mostert, then Dak Prescott, then Antonio Gibson in the eighth. Then he went super heavy, Darius Slayton at the wide receiver position in the ninth, Jameson Crowder in the 10th, Deshaun Jackson in the 11th, Chris Thompson in the 12th, and then Blake Jarwin in the 13th. I like this team because he got some really nice pieces here late that I think really kind of wrapped up the Chris Thompson. For as long as he's healthy, is going to be a nice piece there, and he's going to be able to fill in that RB2 role quite nicely from week to week. He can just rotate through these running backs, and then oh, I apologize. Never mind. He doesn't have the wide receivers. Well, maybe he does. If he goes, I would give this team. I'm gonna go. It's hard to give a non-A to a Christian McCaffrey team. Like, it's really hard to do that. I'm gonna go A minus here because I do like the George Kittle pick. I'm gonna go A minus. I think, but Dak, I think it's good. A minus.
I like the upside with Dak. I like George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey. I'm still reminding myself this is a 10-teamer. And so I'm looking at some of the areas that I thought could have maybe been hit a little bit stronger. It's hard for me to give him an A minus when I just like went off on Darius Slayton, and he's got Slayton there in the ninth. I like Chris Thompson. I think that's fine, but we mentioned before about how Raquel Armstead was slept on in this draft. And if I'm picking up Chris Thompson in the 12th round and Raquel Armstead also went in the 12th round, I'm like super bummed out about that.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm like, damn, I could have gotten just the round before, like the starting running back in this situation. So I think this team is a good B for me. AJ Brown, Chris Godwin, and then you got to go with Slayton Crowder, or you got a little bit of a hole at that third wide receiver spot. And Christian McCaffrey, Mark Ingram is pretty nice.
We're getting a B minus. Okay, so maybe I need to reconsider my grade and go. I was originally going to go with a B plus, but then I was like, it's hard to.
It's your grade.
Yeah, that's my grade.
Christian McCaffrey is nice, and George Kittle there too is good, but
yeah.
All
right.
No, it's not a bad team at all. But Jay Blizzy coming in at the 2, taking my boy Saquon Barkley. The 1, Austin Eckler is going to be his second back. He gets Travis Kelce in the 3rd. And then a run of receivers there. DJ Moore, Robert Woods, Keenan Allen.
I love that. That is
Cam Akers and James White as a couple of more running backs. Debo Samuel, Hayden Hurst, backup tight end. Carson Wentz, Matt Stafford as QBs, Adrian Peterson. I think this is a really thoughtful team. You've got Austin Eckler.
It's very thoughtful.
It is thoughtful. He's got Saquon Barkley and Austin Eckler. I like the floor play of Saquon as well as the ceiling, obviously. I mean, let's get it real with Saquon Barkley. Dude had a high ankle sprain like all year. He missed a couple of games, but he came back fast in multiple ways. He was not himself, and he still ended up getting like 1,400 all-purpose yards and doing good work. And he was not healthy like at all, and he was playing with a new quarterback coming over there. So I just think Saquon Barkley's got a very high floor, and I don't think he gets a lot of credit for that. Austin Eckler's floor is low because he doesn't take a ton of volume, but we saw what he's able to do with the pass catching and everything else. And I know Josh Kelly and Jacobs are over there, but they're not. Eckler's got this situation handled in a similar way that Alvin Kamara does for his team. I'm not calling him Alvin Kamara. I'm just saying that he's a vein to that offense. Tyrod Taylor obviously makes me a little bit concerned, but anyways, the floor is still low with Eckler. The ceiling is through the roof, but pairing that with Saquon Barkley, I love that. And then those other running backs with Cam Akers, James White, and even Adrian Peterson give you some added depth. and really nice playability. DJ Moore, Robert Woods, and Keenan Allen is a really nice trio of wide receivers, and you got really high ceiling there with DJ Moore and Keenan Allen. Good floor with DJ Moore also. And then Robert Woods is like, Robert beat his ADP every single year. Woods. That's just like guaranteed high-end wide receiver 2 production, and you pair that with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore, I really like it. So Hayden Hurst, big upside play there. And Travis Kelce, top 2, maybe number 1 tight end in the game. And he's got Carson Wentz and Matt Stafford. I like those 2 later round picks. So this is a 10-teamer. I got to keep reminding myself that, but I don't see any wasted picks on this one. I'm going A-. Maybe Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
I mean, he's sprinting hard. He's there, but we're not.
I'm just worried of re-injury the most with Deebo. I'm not concerned with talent. And so I would give this an A. We're getting A coming through for us. Yeah, I would give it an A.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna go by Death by Rona, who is also in the. I must say, Jay Blizzy is also in the listener league. Shout out to our listener league. Death by Rona is also in the listener league here. So I'll break down his team. He got Dalvin Cook in the first, Kenyon Drake in the second, James Conner in the third, then went Mark Andrews in the fourth, Cooper Kupp in the fifth, Cortland Sutton in the sixth, DeAndre Swift in the seventh. Then he took Deshaun Watson in the eighth, and then gets the double dip of Brandon Cooks in the ninth, then Julian Edelman in the 10th, Alexander Madison in the 11th, and then Noah Fant, and wraps it up with Anthony Miller in the 13th. I like the 3 running backs that he started off with. Those are really nice, and even getting DeAndre Swift as your 4th, and you're having your the dart throw. Alexander Madison is your RB5. That is beautiful. Well done. Mark Andrews, one of the top tight ends. But I'm concerned about the wide receivers here. Cooper Kupp, Cortland Sutton, Brandon Cooks, Julian Edelman. Now, Cortland Sutton, I do expect him to take a step forward, but he was back half of a wide receiver 1 last year. Could he get better? Certainly. You would need him to on this team. Cooper Kupp, I expect him to regress a little bit, and he's dealing with the foot issue, the ankle sprain. They're saying he's going to be fine for week 1, but it's still, and then Brandon Cooks, solid. I'm not seeing the upside with Brandon Cooks. That's the only thing. Same with Julian Edelman, Anthony Miller. I would give this team a B+. B+ for me.
B+ for you. I'm going to sit with you B+ too. I think Brandon Cooks does have a lot more upside than you're giving him credit for. I think the upside on Brandon Cooks is the number 1 wide receiver for Deshaun Watson and the Texans.
Yeah, it could be.
The guy gets 1,000 yards every year. He's still pretty young. Concussions are the only concern, but he hasn't. Last year was weird. He is very consistent, and he's played for a lot of teams, a lot of QBs, and he's produced at a high level.
Yeah.
Edelman I've got Edelman in the listener league as well, and there I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna give him a B+. And it's a B++ kind of, because those running backs are super stacked. I'm just not on the Mark Andrews train the way a lot of folks are. I just need to see that market share go up, and I'm waiting to see it. It should be there. He could be the main vein from the aerial attack. But then Kupp, Sutton, Cooks, Edelman, it's not bad. It's not amazing. It's not bad. Deshaun Watson, getting it around later. I think he's still got the upside of a Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Dak Prescott. You got him later on, so kudos to that. And the Noah Fant play, big fan of Noah Fant.
Yeah,
down here
in the Noah Fant
side. So yeah, it's a good team.
All right, going over to our boy Jacob Bley. Austin, you want to break down this team?
Sure. Michael Thomas, Tyreek Hill is 1 and 2. Fantastic wide receivers to lead your squad. Aaron Jones is his number 1 halfback. Calvin Ridley is going to round out his wide receiver trio. Leonard Fournette, we'll see where he goes. Risky play there in the 5th. Kareem Hunt in the 6th. Darren Waller is his tight end. He's got Tyler Boyd and Marvin Jones as depth wide receivers. Latavius Murray, Damian Harris, Tony Pollard is his RB depth, and Cam Newton is going to be his starting quarterback. I think this is a well-played team.
Yeah.
He did a little, back-to-back wide receivers to start. His running back still ended up being Aaron Jones, Leonard Fournette, Kareem Hunt. This is a volatile situation. Aaron Jones has got Jamal Williams and A.J. Dillon to compete with, but if those guys are actually like non-factors and Aaron Jones is the one they lean on the most, all of that other stuff was just noise. It was just a distraction. And Aaron Jones is a steal. You just got to see, though, because his floor right now is one of 3 running backs that you're still getting relatively early. I love the top 2 receivers. Calvin Ridley, not bad. Tyler Boyd's had a lot of positive comments coming out. If AJ Green stays not great, if his health continues to be an issue, Tyler Boyd's going to be that one. And Burrow came out saying a lot of positive stuff. So Tyler Boyd, I think you're going to see climbing up in ADPs, and I like that one there. Latavius Murray, Damian Harris, and Tony Pollard is a nice 1, 2, 3. You need Tony Pollard to go down for him to have legit playability. So that's the only one I pause on a little bit there. But Damian Harris could be the starting halfback for New England, and Latavius Murray is going to have work because Alvin Kamara is not a volume machine. So, and we saw what happened when Kamara did go down, and Murray was like an RB1. So good squad, good way to hedge a lot of your bets. Still some risk, which I like. Fun to do in a mock draft. I'm gonna go ahead. This is a solid. It's a B+ on roster. It's an A- on, like, I think he was trying to do something a little bit different, and I applaud that. And I love how he got Cam Newton crazy late and went with the 2 wide receivers. So an A- on strategy, a B+ on the team.
I would give it. I think a B+ is very at this very moment. If we're judging it at this very moment, which we have to do, at this very moment, I would give this a B+ team. But when most people are probably going to watch this stream, it's going to be tomorrow morning or tomorrow afternoon. And Kareem Hunt could be on Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and this team could be awesome, and this team could be an A+ team.
I don't know what your obsession with Leonard Fournette. I think you meant going to the Bucs. That's a really, you love that take, man. And I
do because it's just so juicy. Think about it. It was like what I wanted.
He's never taken over. Ronald Jones is a like, that's a talent. They already brought other people over there. They just drafted Vaughn.
He's a talent that they have because they don't have any other talent right now. But I'm telling you, if they bring in Leonard Fournette, it's see ya, Ronald Jones. You're out of here, buddy. Leonard Fournette will be the guy. I'm just saying. I hope Ronald Jones does well this year. I'm just saying. I just think it would be so incredibly juicy because I wanted DeAndre Swift to go to Tampa Bay, or CH to go to Tampa Bay, or Jonathan Taylor to go to Tampa Bay, and none of that happened. So this is my best thing I have. So I'll leave it with that. I'll leave it with that. All right, we're gonna jump into T Garrett FF here. Took Alvin Kamara. He had the 7th pick, so took Alvin Kamara. Falls all the way there. Maybe contract dispute. Maybe that could have been why. I don't know. I have to ask.
Hold on a second. Scott in the chat is gonna pause you on this one. Scott in the chat says he won 13. He said we're crazy, and that he won 13 of the 26 leagues he played in last year. You played in 26 leagues?
Jeez. Well, Rona, the death by Rona, he was talking about he was in like 80 leagues. He was texting us today in the listener league. He's like, I picked up Rockwell Armstead on 22 of my 24 regular leagues that I have already drafted. And I'm like, wow.
26 leagues? Sorry, man. I should
show this to my wife, and maybe she'll be like, she won't care about the measly number that I play in now compared to 26.
People in our league playing 26 leagues. They win half of their leagues, they say. It's good for you, man.
That's awesome. Well, it's because they listen to Fantasy Whispers, probably.
Must be so.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt you, man. I had to call that out.
No, you're good. Okay, so T Garrett FF drafting at the 107 or drafting in the 7th spot takes Alvin Kamara and Miles Sanders as his RB and RB2. Then gets Kenny G in the 3rd, followed by Jonathan Taylor in the 4th, then Amari Cooper as his wide receiver 2. Then he gets Zach Ertz in the 6th. Nice value there. Then Jarvis Landry in the 7th, AJ Green in the 8th, then Philip Lindsay in the 9th, then Josh Allen as his quarterback. Gets Henry Ruggs, Boston Scott, and Jalen Reagor as some really high upside late round dart throws here. Breaking down this team, I'm going to I love Alvin Kamara and Miles Sanders and Jonathan Taylor as a 3 running back stack. Yeah. That's very, very nice there. Kenny G and Amari Cooper, and like through these very first, 7 rounds, I'm like, I love this team. This team
Yeah.
is solid. But then after that, it just kind of, which is kind of weird because I like these guys. I like Philip Lindsay. I like, the upside of Rieger or Ruggs. I'm, more on the Rieger side than the Ruggs. But I just see them all compiled together. I'm not sure I like all of that. So I would give, and this is also really Philadelphia heavy as well. I would go with a B plus here. I would go with a B plus.
B plus for me as well. It would have been, and the only thing I'm holding back on is the quarterback. I love pretty much everything of how it's put together, but I think Josh Allen is just the one piece that brings down the ceiling on this squad. So I'm gonna go with a solid B plus on this one for me. I like the Jonathan Taylor play, but I think Mac is gonna have all season long involvement. I just don't think it makes a lot of sense for them to smash Jonathan Taylor in a contract year for Marlon Mack. I just don't see it happening barring injury. And I love Zach Ertz. I think he's kind of getting slept on given all of the injuries the Eagles are dealing with. You might have a poor person's George Kittle situation, and not even that much of a poor person's George Kittle situation, because Zach Ertz just might be that number one option like all season long, given Alshon Jeffrey's got all of his issues. Rager's got all of his issues right now. I mean, J.J. Arcega-Whiteside might mess around and become the starting outside wide receiver.
Yeah, that's what they're saying. That's what they're saying. So yeah, that is an interesting thing to take.
And I got J.J. Arcega-Whiteside in our dynasty league, so I'm certainly pulling for him to be who they hope that he would be. But I'm also being like, no, Zach Ertz is going to be the dude.
I won't lie.
Jackson, I think, as well. I know you got words about Deshaun, but
I won't lie. I definitely looked that up in our dynasty league today, and I almost thought about sending you a trade offer for our JJ Arcega because I do think that there's some intrigue there.
I mean, he's like a newer Alshon Jeffrey.
I mean, he's his second year. They said he looks a lot better than he did last year, which hopefully, yeah. Rockley gave it a B plus. So what was your grading actually? Sorry, I forgot what.
B plus on the B side.
Yeah, that's all right. All right, we're gonna skip that computer pick because we don't like to grade the computer because they're not as good as real drafters. All right.
Yeah, grade yourself, computer. You drafted yourself. You grade yourself. Brandon Stan, 26 in the 9th spot, takes Josh Jacobs and Joe Mixon, a couple of not so sexy, but maybe they should be running backs. Allen Robinson is his lead wide receiver there in the 3rd. Todd Gurley is going to complete his 3 RB stack. Run of wide receivers to follow: DJ Shark, DK Metcalf, and Will Fuller. I don't hate those.
Yeah.
J.K. Dobbins, we talked a lot about him. Don't mind it as much with the 4th. Matt Ryan's going to be his QB. Hunter Henry's his tight end. CeeDee Lamb in the right. Recall Armstead there in the 12th and the Jonnu Smith. He gets a major bump for me because of the Reichel Armstead pick. It's a thoughtful pick. If you haven't done your drafts yet, target Armstead, man. That's going to be a frickin' steal, and he's not going to be obvious. Johnny and I talked about him at the beginning of the show, and we forgot about it because we don't have our rankings in front. And you're gonna have to type him in. You can't even scroll down for him. You're gonna have to type him in and find Armstead, learn how to spell his name, and just get ready to get him going because he's, in my opinion, I'd rather have Armstead than I would have Kerryon Johnson, Tariq Cohen, J.K. Dobbins even. Like, you could, if you would have flipped Reichel Armstead and J.K. Dobbins in this one, I'd be like,
raise the roof. I mean, he got him later, so he didn't have to. But
you know what I'm saying.
I totally. It was funny because when I saw his first 2 running backs, I'm like, all right, he grabbed the best values, and then I was like, maybe that's where he had to go with this 9 pick, and then seeing Allen Robinson as well, and then it was just like seeing what he did. This team is awesome. I love it. This is an A+ team.
A+ for you.
A+ for me. Like I mean, yeah, there's the concern of Joe Mixon not, whether or not he's gonna actually hold out or not. I get that, but like the depth at the RB position he built, he should be able to withstand that, and then he's got like these stack wide receivers. I just maybe an A+ was a little too much. Sorry, I'll reel it back a little bit. A-. I'll give him an A- because this next team is my favorite team.
away, Johnny.
All right.
Hit us with Reed Tyler's.
Reed Tyler went upside down. This is awesome. He switched it up here. And this is cool. Reed Tyler jumps in every week with us. So he took Devontae Adams in the first, then Patrick Mahomes in the second, then Mike Evans in the third. So then he went Le'Veon Bell in the fourth, Devin Singletary in the fourth and fifth rounds there as his RB1s and RB2. You got Terry McLaurin, Michael Gallup to add to that wide receiver depth there. Then Evan Ingram as his tight end. Matt Breida, Jordan Howard, Mecole Hardman, Jerry Jeudy, and then takes Baker Mayfield late. I love this team. I understand there's a huge blemish in the, studliness of these RBs. But I believe that based on this team and the depth that he has added, that he could take the pieces and upgrade his RB position throughout the year. I just think that this is a very good core team of having, if you're going to go upside down, and it's a bold strategy, especially in a 10-teamer, I think that he might have just been able to pull it off because he got Miami's backfield, which is going to give you at least an RB2 production.
Someone.
Yeah, that's someone. And then it's Devin, Le'Veon Bell, it's a dice roll. It's a dice roll for sure, but I think I like it. Devin
Singletary is a concern for me. I'm fading on him pretty big as his reports haven't been great, and Zach Moss's have been the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is closer to a 50-50 today, and I think that the trajectory could indicate Zach Moss is going to be grabbing more touches as it goes on. Now, we haven't seen anything yet, but I'm putting him right about at a 50-50 as is, with Zach Moss having opportunities to gain more. And so I would have liked to see him take a Ronald Jones or a Cam Akers, and one of the guys we were talking about who's actually situated to be that number one and looking like they're going to have that number one, versus a Singletary who is technically the one, but in my estimation is losing that grip on there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only one. That's kind of nitpicking though, but I love with this upside down of how he pulled it together. You could have taken Cam Akers and Devin Singletary, or taken instead of Terry McLaurin, but Terry McLaurin is a really nice piece, and that actually could be one that he's getting a lot of hype, he's getting a lot of love, but when you look at his metrics, Pro Football Focus, the way that guy moves, catches, and his role on the offense, I mean, this could be like last year's Devontae Parker.
Yeah.
How he finished the year.
I probably would have went like Melvin Gordon or Mark Ingram instead of Le'Veon Bell there, or even Raheem Mostert instead of Le'Veon Bell, but
all that negative news. It's hard to swallow.
I know, really. Well, and it's more so Adam Gase too. It's like, can we just get this guy out of here? All right. That is it. We have wrapped up all of the teams. Austin, I appreciate you so much, my brother, for jumping on here. We appreciate Whisper Nation for hanging in here. We still got 17 viewers right now watching us. We appreciate all of you guys so much.
Before you go.
Sorry?
Asking to hit that thumb before you go. Make sure you like and subscribe. You catch our next one. We're going to be doing a lot of these.
And we are about to start up our full go of the regular season ramp up. So be looking out for a lot of fresh and new content, as well as join us for our shows. We love having you guys on and talking with you guys and communicating. So until next time, that is Austin Sear. I'm Johnny Game Time Hicks, and we're out of here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Peace.